I have sewn so many complicated fly zips in my 10 plus years of sewing that I decided to figure out how to simplify the process. And today I'm going to show you how to sew a neat fly zip with ease. You can get my free template at lydianaomistudio.com so that you can follow along. You will need some woven fabric, similar weight fusible interfacing, and a 6 or 7 inch zipper, just no smaller than 6 inches. I'm using a 7 inch. You will also need a regular zipper foot, pins, and some fabric chalk or marker of some kind that will erase. I am working from my full diner trouser pattern today, which you can also get at lydianaomistudio.com, and the seam allowance is 1/2 inch or 13 millimeters everywhere, unless otherwise mentioned. To start, apply the right front fly interfacing to the wrong side of the pant, as shown. Also apply fusible interfacing to your fly facing and shield. You can do this by first block fusing a piece of fabric. So get a piece of fabric that will fit your two pieces, then fuse it on the wrong side. Then you can cut your pieces out. Especially for the facing piece, make sure that the right side of the fabric and the pattern piece are facing you to get the correct orientation. Fold and press the fly shield wrong sides together lengthwise. Locate the straight across bottom of the fly shield as indicated on the pattern piece and fold right sides together. Then you can sew across at 1/2 inch or 13 millimeters seam allowance. Then you're going to turn out and overlock the open long side. Also overlock the curved side of the fly facing. And just a little tip, I like to pull the overlock tail to the front and start the stitch cleanly from the sewn end. And it just looks so much better. Place the front pants right sides together and sew between the notches. Be sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end. With the right sides of the pants facing up, place the fly facing along the center front of the right side of the pant and pin in place. It may be helpful to draw on the 1/2 inch or 13 millimeter seam allowance, as I have done here. And you're going to sew from the top down, and when you get to the crotch seam, sew right to the crotch seam without catching it in the stitch, and backstitch from there. Next, you're going to turn it out and understitch. And then fold to the inside of the pant and press in place. Now this pattern calls for a 6 inch zipper. I'm using a 7 inch to show you that it's no big deal if you have a longer zipper, as long as that metal zipper stop at the top is out of the way of the seam line so that you don't break a needle. On the left side of the pant, place the zipper along the center front edge, right sides together with the bottom stop just above the notch. Sew with a regular zipper foot at 1/4 inch or 6 millimeters seam allowance. Then you're going to turn it out and just finger press the seam allowance back from the zipper. And from this seam, mark a line 1/4 inch or 6 millimeters over. This is where you're going to place the fly facing side of the construction. This is because the actual seam allowance is 1/2 inch, but we only sewed at 1/4 inch for the zipper, so we have to make up for it. So we're going to pin that area in place. Then fold back the front pant, and we're going to sew the fly facing to the zipper tape. Once you've finished that, fold the front pant back in place and use the fly top stitch guide, which I cut in some heavier paper, to mark the stitch line over the fly facing side. And you're going to sew from the top through the pant and facing, and when you get to the crotch seam, you're going to pivot and sew close to the crotch seam, stopping a 1/2 inch or 13 millimeters from the end of the original crotch seam stitch. And you can see here how it should look. You really want to leave that 1/2 inch so we can go back in later and sew the rest of the crotch seam without sewing some kind of pucker because of the top stitch. So make sure that you follow my instructions exactly. Next, unzip the zipper and place the fly shield along the edge of the zipper tape under the zipper. Edge stitch the seam beside the zipper teeth as far as you can stitch toward the crotch seam. An edge stitch is stitching very close to the seam, about a 1/16 of an inch or 1 to 2 millimeters. Once I get near the bottom, I close up the zipper and then I keep stitching as far as I can to the end. And this is how it should look. Next, we're going to close up the zipper and tack through all layers about 3/8 or 1 centimeter section at the base of the J, just above where it starts to curve. And I like to create a Bartack with a zigzag setting width of 2 and a length of 0.4. But if you don't want to do that, you can just backstitch with a straight stitch. That also works. And this just keeps the fly construction from totally flying open when you unzip it, so it just secures it in place. And now your fly is completely done, and it wasn't that difficult as you thought, was it? I'm also going to show you how to finish the crotch seam with this method. So you want to place your inseams right sides together and sew them up. Then press these seams open. To finish up the crotch, we're going to place one pant leg inside the other, making sure that they're facing right sides together, and sew the pant crotch from that back stitch on the front to the back waist. And I'm going to reinforce it as well. So I'm just going to pivot once I get to the back waist and sew that same seam again to reinforce it. And that completes your fly construction. This is the diner trouser pattern fully finished. If you want to view the tutorial or purchase the pattern, it will be available at lydianaomistudio.com.